You're listening to Dairy Voice by Dairy Business News, a podcast exclusively for the dairy industry.
One of our sponsors of the Dairy Voice podcast is National DHIA. NDHIA ensures information accuracy and represents their members' interests. They are the direct voice for the dairy information industry. To find out more, go to dhia.org.
If you raise calves, you know you can't prevent stress, but you can give your calves the boost they need to rise above challenging conditions. Nurture Boost is a uniquely formulated feed additive that supports calf lung health and enhances overall immunity to elevate your calves' ability to withstand stress. Boost your calves for better performance at boostyourcalves.com.
Welcome to the latest in our podcast series on the evolution of the great cow. Showbox Sires is excited to continue to work with the dairy business to produce and provide these podcasts for customers and listeners around the world. It seems like this spring we have focused on bringing international guests to our podcast, and they've been very well received. Those of you who have listened have heard great conversations with Arjun Singh from New Zealand and Brian Leslie from Australia. And today I'm really excited to introduce two good friends and very enthusiastic young people to our listeners. Pleasure to have friends from the UK on with us today, and we're going to learn a lot about their business. They've got an upcoming sale. And Showbox Sires will be very involved with all of this. It is really my pleasure to introduce James and Steph Doherty to our podcast. So welcome, guys.
How is everyone? Thank you very much for having us on. It means a lot to us. We don't get invited on many things like this, so it's quite nice. It's quite nice to be here.
Well, great. It's nice having you, and I'm sure our listeners will love to cross the pond and learn a little bit about your operation and the two of you. So I was saying at the start of this podcast, Steph, I've worked with you for, I said 20 years. You backed me up and said more like 10. But let's start with you, Steph. Tell us a little bit about who you are, where you're from. Then we'll go to James, and then we'll talk about what you do together. Steph, tell us a little about yourself.
My background, I would have grown up on a dairy farm in England. My parents always had a great passion for pedigree cows, probably milked around 180 cows. And all through that, my parents obviously really encouraged myself, my sister, and my little brother. Most people forget he exists. Always really encouraged us to get involved with Holstein Young Breeders, which is like 4-H in North America. And through that, I guess I developed my own passion for pedigrees and dairy farming and all those sorts of things. And obviously, from that, then I entered into the agricultural and dairy industry, into genetics. And then obviously through all of that, met James, and we bought lots of different cows and all sorts of things along the way. And about 4 years ago, we started farming in our own right. So it's been a bit of a journey. But yeah, that's, I suppose, my background.
When your goal is to help animals reach their full potential, health matters. Diamond V offers a fresh perspective on animal health, a perspective that supports gut health, strengthens immunity, and ultimately enhances performance. For those who choose to invest in keeping healthy animals healthy, feeding Diamond V makes a statement about another dimension of profit, where margins are measured by confidence in your future. To get a fresh perspective, visit diamondv.com, because animal health deserves a healthier approach.
Nice to see two passionate dairy enthusiasts come together. James, tell our listeners a bit about where you come from, your history.
It's probably not the most conventional, to be totally honest, how I ended up where we are now. My mother and father aren't dairy farmers. I have zero interest in dairy farming, but my granddad, who I still look up to now, he had a dairy farm, milked about 180 cows, and ever since I can remember, I've been milking and helping out on the farm and things like that. He wasn't out and out show cows or anything like that. I was quite late to to that side of it and the genetics. He always liked reading through like the CMEX catalogue at the time or whatever. He always liked picking good bulls. So they had a nice herd of cows, but didn't really shout too much about it. When I was 16, I left school and then went to a agricultural college, university in Nantwich, which is sort of central England. And I went from there, really. I met a lot of friends who were still keeping in touch with. Tom Lomas, who we'll maybe speak about later, who's a big part of what we do and the sale. I met him there. So I met some long life friends and I've got a really good close group of friends from there. And then when I left there, I went to work for a dairy farmer, Ed Seaton at Styche, which is not far from where we farm now in Shropshire. And he was quite big in my sort of development in looking at good cows. He did a lot of showing and that sort of thing. And when I was there, I met Steph, and it's gone from there, really. Yeah, so I've always been into nice looking cows, and yeah, so we started buying cows together, and yeah, that's how we've ended up here, really. I've always wanted to farm since being a little boy, and then now we're doing it ourselves. I want bigger and better things. Your goals change all the time, don't you? But yeah, we've always wanted to do what we're doing now. So
that's really great. It's a fun story, and the team of the two of you gets us fired up, because I guess if Mike were on this podcast, Mike Duckett, my partner, and we would both give kudos to our wives, because we're partners with two women, James, much like you, that are strong, passionate people about the industry. Yep. And frankly, we could not do what we do today if it wasn't for that. So fun couple, because you both have the same passion for this business. So I don't know. I think Mike and Julie have made it 20 years. Sharon and I are 36 of marriage. Yeah. So there's some hope.
Yeah.
And I think like with things like in farming, you have to be a unit. I think there's so many things, so much of the time that you have to be thinking about and planning for, and you can plan to some extent in farming, but there's always things that come up when you think, oh my gosh, where has that come from? We need to deal with that. And I think that's why being a team is so important.
Yeah, good, really good point. And again, the hours that we all put in, the passion that we have for what we do. If one partner doesn't understand what the other one's doing, I've always thought it would be a very tough, possible and doable, but not as much fun as being a partnership like the two of you have. Which actually leads me into my next question, which is, tell us more about your farming operation and your current business.
We milk around 120 cows with about 100 followers, 100 young stock. We try to breed for a very balanced sort of cow. We don't like them too big. We like a good one. We like to get up and milk good cows in the morning. It keeps us going. We like good pedigrees, and ever since we've been buying cows, we've been buying good pedigrees. So a lot of the pedigrees that are in our herd now and we'll be selling, come in sale, they will have been bought from years ago that we've sort of picked up along the way. Some of them will be new pedigrees and stuff like that. So yeah, that's our interest. Obviously, our core business is milk production. We milk 3 times a day, which was a decision we took 3 years ago, is it? Something like that. We started milking 3 times a day 3 years ago, and it's made a massive difference to our business, to be totally honest. Get a lot more milk out of cows. The decision was a little bit, you've got to have a bit of a work-life balance. I don't agree with all these people. I get it, and I work as hard as the next person, but you've got to have a work-life balance. And the cows were doing a little bit too much milk on twice a day, so we then decided to go to 3 times, which killed 2 birds with one stone. I had a little bit of a work-life balance. We'd be off the farm for maybe 5 or 6 if we have to. We're getting more milk from the cows. We're currently averaging something like 39 litres a cow on 3 times a day milking.
The work balance thing, I think that's really important. I think sometimes, historically, I think farmers have just worked every single hour of the day. And I think, I respect that. And I think, I understand why people do that. But I think, you've got to have some life as well. And you've got to try and enjoy yourself. And if that means, spending evenings doing things that are your hobby or, whatever it is, walking the dog, going to the gym, seeing friends, I think that's been a big change for us. Because I think, when we initially started dairy farming, it's going to be hard, but you don't always know quite how hard it was going to be. And I think we found ourselves in the first sort of 12 months, we were like, we'd start at 5 o'clock in the morning. We'd still be out there at 8 o'clock at night. And then you start to think, okay, well, I'm not getting as much sleep as I would like. And yeah, so I think that was a real game change for us, actually.
Well, when we first started farming, actually 4 or 5 years ago, whenever it was, we both had full-time jobs as well. So obviously Steph works at Genus ABS still, and I was working there as well at the time. I was managing a team of like AI technicians going around farms. I think we was like maybe 52 people we had in the team. And it was enjoyable and we got a lot out of it, but we were doing that alongside farming just to get us going, which was also, we wouldn't be here if we didn't do that either, to be fair, I don't think. And I also learned, you'll be learning a lot every day, but I also learned a lot of sort of people management and keeping staff, which is huge as well, especially on 3 times a day. We have people coming at night that milk the cows, which has been quite big for us, haven't it? We started milking 3 times a day, we started farming 4 years ago, and we've still got the same people on the farm now. Started with us 4 years ago. We've not lost or whatever a member of staff, which is we're quite proud of, aren't we?
That's a great testament to you guys as managers and people and business folk, because truly I think the statistics are there that 3 times a day milking is a profitable adventure if you can find the labor, and you obviously have done that, and you've balanced your lifestyle, which honestly, guys, again, we come from a farming background that is, our parents did it 15 hours a day every day on a quick day and 18 hours on the bad days. And there's no gold stars for that. I mean, sometimes working harder and working smarter come hard to us. And I applaud you guys for figuring out, we're not going to have you in this industry if you work 15 hours a day and have no social life. So I think that's good for our listeners to hear from a young couple that have figured that balance out.
Yeah, 100%. And like you see the statistics on, mental health and dairy farming. And I just think it's so important to try and find that little break from the farm, even if it's just a little bit of time every day.
This interview was going to be more about cows, but I think, guys, you've given our listeners truly, I think you've given our listeners great advice. I mean, the mental health and enjoyment of this business is much better if you're good managers. So thank you. Great comments. So tell us a little more about what direction, James, you brought up, you're ever changing your goals and your views. What's the goal of your operation? What do you see? What's going to happen in the next 5 years for you?
When we first set out on this, we wanted to invest in big pedigrees that we obviously like to milk ourselves. North America and Canada or whatever do this really well. They have put money in. They have put a value, on their pedigree livestock. Where in the UK, some people do it and some people don't, and we wanted to be the people that did. So we were investing in pedigrees all along, thinking these are going to be worth money when we ever come to have a sale, or we come to sell one, or we have like consignment sales every year in this country, and we wanted to put a big entry in some of them that some people would want. And you've got to keep your genetics fresh all the time. That is another thing for us. We've got a lot of families that everyone's got probably in our herd, but we have also got a very select few that not many people have. And I think you've got to keep your genetics really fresh to make a business out of it. So, like I said, our core business is milk production, like a lot of people, like majority of people in the UK. We think that if you're having pedigree cows and show cows and things you like to work with, you've also got to make that into a business. And you've got to sell and make profit out of your cows. It's hard to let the good ones go sometimes, but I think, if you're like, someone said to me, if you're confident in your breeding, the good one will be around the corner again. So why are you worried about selling them? And we rolled with that. Yeah, Glyn Lucas, and this was years ago before we even started this on the sale we're having. He said to me, you can either be a hoarder or you can make money out of this business. There's too many people buy these fancy pedigrees and keep hold of them and then be too worried about someone else having them. Whereas I can't wait to see our cows at shows and things like that when we have this sale. So our goal, we want to keep having these sales. We're every 2, 3, 4 years, whatever, we want to have a sale and make some money out of what we're doing, basically. We want it to be another string to our bow, another stream of income, and that's what we want to do.
Yeah, and I think you go out and you make these investments in cows, and James is very much of the focus of, we don't buy rubbish, we buy good stuff. And I do think you always have to try and you buy well.
It's nice of her to say that, to be honest, because every time I go out and buy something good, I get shouted at for when I get home.
He always spends too much.
Welcome to our world, James. It's not going to get any better.
I have a story about that, actually. But yeah, I just think, we'd go out and we'd spend money. And over the years, like, we bought quite a few animals. And as soon as we started dairy farming on our own, I thought, we've got to make money out of these, because ultimately your milk check covers what it covers, and having something to boost that is a massive bonus. And that's really how we see pedigrees.
Great thing for our listeners, because truly at the end of the day, you're going to have a herd of 120 cows. They can either have commercial value or they can have value as breeding stock. If you're going to work with them every day, it's not that difficult. Steph, I want to hear the story, particularly.
So do I.
You know the story. Myself, James, and our good friend Richard Bostock. So a few years ago, we went on a little trip to Switzerland. We went to the Swiss Mountain High Sale, and we spent a couple of days before touring around farms, and we went to a few different places, Mattenhof.
Good question. Espro. There was a lot of the big breeders over there.
A few key places. And it was an awesome trip. There's some incredible cows in Switzerland. There really are. I remember we walked through the door at Mattenhof, and I think
incredible.
It was Helene, who'd recently won the European show, was literally stood just through the door. Anyway, I think, as the day was going on, we were getting ourselves quite excited about the quality of cows that we'd seen and all that sort of stuff. And later in the day, we wind up at the Swiss Mountain High Sale at Roygret. It's probably not how you pronounce it.
Regret, maybe.
Regret. And anyway, walking around the barns and seeing all these amazing cows, and James was like absolutely determined he was buying something. And me and Richard, or Albie as we call him, we were thinking, oh God, how much are they going to be, and all this sort of stuff. Picked this calf out. She was called Esprit. She's from actually an amazing cow family.
We didn't know that at the time. It was a bit of a fluke, to be totally honest.
It was not.
It was.
That's even worse if you're saying it's a fluke.
No, but it was a really, really fancy calf.
It was really not a really good calf. We really liked it. Anyway, we had a little conflab. We agreed a price, and anyway, time came. Heifer was in the ring. So we agreed James was going to do the bidding, which in my head, I thought, oh, how's this going to go? Anyway, so she comes in and she gets the agreed price. And I thought, oh, well, we've not got her, never mind. And then what happens? James carries on and carries on and carries on. I'm going to end up buying like the top price in the sale. These random people from England. And I remember myself and Albie didn't speak to James for the rest of the trip. We were that mad with him. We had to go and find another partner to pay for her.
It's turned out well, though. It's turned out really well in the end. I have the last laugh every time we go to Switzerland and look at her.
Yeah, I'll go ahead and you'll pay me for the marriage counseling. Steph, that's the way it's going to be when James makes a decision. Just
unfortunately, I know that now.
Yeah, no, that's a great story, and we've all been there. I'll go on a quick diversion with Sharon and I. There's been two cows in our life that Sharon pulled me to the side when we were looking at them and told me not to screw this up. And it didn't matter what the price was. We had to buy the cow, and that was. She's got a good eye. It was Blexy and Footloose, and
wow. Right.
So James, I had the green light to do whatever I had to do to get those two, and was actually told, "Don't mess it up. Like, get this done." So switching gears quickly, just for our listeners, tell us a little about the state of the dairy economy, the dairy business in the UK. What's it like? What is the status of dairying in the UK or just your part of the world?
Like, looking back over the past 12 months, I would say dairy farming's been a real challenge in the UK. We've experienced hyperinflation simultaneously with a really high milk price. So I think there was kind of a perception that maybe dairy farms actually had money. So yeah, there's been some real challenging times, I'd say, for farmers probably over the past 12 months. Cash has been really, really tight on farm. Things have certainly been looking up. Probably the past 3 months, milk price has been creeping back up. Input costs have kind of been calming down. So I would say things look more kind of robust than probably where they have been. So I think that's definitely created some positivity within the industry. I think we're getting to a better place, but I think, the past 12 months have probably been pretty tough for a lot of people.
For sure. I think we've still got a long way to go, to be honest, in this country still. Like I'm sure every country says, but I think they are looking up. Yeah, I think it is getting a little bit better. The last 12 months have been really challenging, really, really challenging. But I'd say The 12 months before that was maybe the biggest milk price the UK has ever seen. Some people over here got onto 50 pence per litre, which is unheard of in this country. Obviously, like the fertilizer price and corn price and stuff like that followed it, but it was still you could make good money 2 years ago. Last year was really bad. It dropped off a cliff. We were down. There was a lot of people. We were not far off. We're down at sort of late 20s, 28, 29, early 30s, 31, 32. And then it has, just like Steph said, it has just started to creep up sort of the last 3 months. We've had a change in milk buyer as well, which has made us a lot more positive about the future of milk. So yeah, it is starting to look a little bit better. Yeah.
I would say probably some of our biggest lessons have been learned in the past 12 months, haven't they, in dairy farming? I think the thing I've learned, as obviously we're relatively new to farming, and over the first few years, I think, the economics of dairy farming were okay. I think probably over the past 12 months, I've learned that the biggest thing about farming is just generating cash. And I think actually that's a skill that we've developed probably a lot over the past 12 months.
Oh, yeah, unbelievable. Yeah.
Sounds very similar to our situation here. And I know similar in talking to the Australians or the New Zealanders, many countries face the same, but you guys are wise beyond your years, because cash drives all of our success in this business.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I think the quicker we realize that, the quicker that we'll like Steph said, we've learned a lot this year, and we have, and I'm sure a lot of people that have been farming a lot longer than us have learned a lot this year, but we will never be in the position money was really tight, like we're coming on and say we will never be in that position again because of the last 12 months, because we now know what we've got to do to be very good at what we're doing.
Well, that leads me into my next series of questions perfectly. The business is in an uptick. Everybody's excited and right on cue, guys, as smart young business people, you're having a sale. So tell us about your sale. Tell us a little bit about Tom, your partner, Glenn, that's your auctioneer. I just want our listeners to hear a little bit about what this sale's all about.
Yeah, so the 15th of June, we are having a sale. We're pretty excited about it. We've tried to pull together some exciting lots of animals. It's going to be comprised of, I think, the majority of animals are our own. Well, not the majority, the biggest chunk of animals are our own. And then we've kind of picked, I suppose, key friends, really, that we've worked a lot with and that we really like their animals, to try and, bring the sale up to just over 80 lots. So it'll be 25 of ours, about 17 from Droyington, which is Andrew McKellar in Staffordshire. We've got some really special lots from Tom Lomas, who's a good friend of ours, and from Riverdale, Novold, my parents, the Arrow family. So there's a few key people really that have consigned.
We realised that our friends have been really good people to us, since we've known them. So we wanted to give back a little bit and involve these people in the sale, and we all want to win, basically. So we've picked a good group of friends, like Steph just said, and obviously Tom's been a friend of ours for maybe 20 years. There's a lad called Jack Watts who I met when I left college. He's got 4 or 5 in the sales, so it's very much it's us and quite a big group of friends that have put together I think quite impressive catalogue of really nice pedigrees. And obviously, there's some massive consignments from you, Tim. So that was big for us as well. To be totally honest, it's meant a lot to us. You putting them embryo lots in, and so this is what I'm trying to say. Me, Tom, and Richard Bostock had a sale called Perfection Collection. This was that 6 years ago, maybe 7 years ago?
I've still got PTSD from it, honestly.
And you were a massive help and a contributor in that sale as well. So it's relationships and friendships that have lasted a long time that are going back into this sale again.
Mike and I, as Showbox Sires or us individually, we're just ecstatic to be involved with having lots in your sale. Truly, I think it's a world-class event. Guys, speak a little bit to this is not a UK sale. Any more sales are global. And tell us a little bit about your vision there with what you have for consignments, and maybe a couple of your consignments and how they get into your herd. Like, obviously, you go by the best, and I think boundaries and addresses mean nothing to you. Is that fair?
Yeah, it's definitely fair. I guess our vision for the sale is really to have a really elite group of animals that, anybody could come and buy, and they can do great things for them, whether that's show type, whether that's great cow family, whether it's great production, or whether in most cases, actually, you're going to get all three. And I think, that's really our focus is to try and create great animals for other people, because it gives us a huge amount of pride when we see our own animals do well for other people. So I guess that's the vision. Some of the high profile lots, I suppose, that we've got is we have a daughter of the animal I described earlier that was purchased in Switzerland.
It's funny that how things come around, isn't it?
Yeah, congratulations, James. Well done.
I have to eat my words now.
Yep.
So so she's called Esprit. So she's from the GS
Emily.
Alliance, Emily cow family. And I do think it's one of the best cow families in Switzerland. It's super, super consistent. You've got a cow called Atwood Alina, who was like intermediate champion at Swiss Expo. Her daughter, Crushable Elise, was recently intermediate champion at Expo Bull. It's a really, it's a mega, mega cow family. And so she's a red daughter, a red rider daughter from that cow family. And she's a really, really special calf. And honestly, that cow family just calves in with great udders every single time. What else have we got, James?
It's quite nice. We going back with the sale I was talking about, the Perfection Collection. Tom, who we'll talk about in a bit, he bought some embryos with a group of people from yourself for some Blexi embryos by Raptor, and they carved one, and it was intermediate. Was it intermediate champion at our national show Dairy Day a couple of years ago, and we've got a calf off her in the sale, which is quite a big lot for us. It's an absolute fancy show calf, isn't it? It's really, really nice. But built like it's sort of the ones we like to breed to as well, to be honest. It's built like a bus, and it's got a load of style with it. Like it'll go into anyone's herd and look really good in the show ring too, to be totally honest. So there's some really, really nice lots in there. Really nice lots.
Yeah, the dam of that calf is called Blexi's Black Raptor, and she is like black silk. She's just
fancy,
incredible.
Fancy,
yeah. And to have her daughter in the sale, we are so chuffed. She's a beautiful calf.
When Adam Little judged that cow, I believe over there, it didn't take him long to call me and say, Blexi's had a lot of great daughters, but one of her greatest is overseas from an embryo we sent, and that speaks volumes to what you're trying to do. The impact of the family. Blexi started in Quebec and migrated to the United States, and now is all over the world, whether it's Australia or the UK or Switzerland. The influence is being held. So you certainly have promoted that, and we appreciate that as an industry.
Yeah,
probably one of the fanciest ones is the Salt and Cheer one as well, isn't it?
I'm so I suppose one of the other big lots really would be, so we have a Hank's P daughter of a heifer called Chief Sarah. So she is a granddaughter of Saltamachia from Petit Clerc. And she's recently was honorable mention intermediate champion at our national show in the spring. And she is an incredible heifer.
She's the best. She's the best animal we've owned, I think. To be honest, she's really special. Yeah, really, really special.
Her dam was a 2-time class winner at Swiss Expo. She is a cow called Arch Rival Salter. Amazing pictures of her at Swiss Expo, but she was a cow. Actually, this was in the same class as that Esprit heifer that we bought in Switzerland, and we always liked her, and we always wanted to have a daughter of her, and we managed to buy this chief daughter out of Germany. And we imported her just before we had some challenges with borders and imports. And so she's a really special heifer. And we took the decision that we were going to consign her calf to the sale. So we have nothing else off her. It's her only daughter. And the calf is, she's really, really nice.
There's a nugget in here that's important to our listeners. Number one, James, you said it before, you're never afraid to sell great ones because you'll make more. And too many of us are too afraid to sell the great ones, and it's painful. I mean, it's never easy to sell the great ones, but hats off to you all for doing that, because that is the way to build a great sales series, and you'll do it. So I can't wait to see them. I guess you can tell the listeners you've got some old guy with gray hair from the United States coming to help with your sale. Tell our listeners what you're up to there.
Okay, so I mean, we've got a few things going on during the day. So the sale is called the First Look sale. So obviously we've not been farming that long. It's going to be the first time that our farm is going to be open for people to come and have a look round. A stock judging in the morning. So we get lots of local people come to stock judgings and bits and pieces. So it'll be an opportunity to have them guys, and obviously people that have come from further afield to do some judging and be able to see what our cows are like, really. So that should be great fun. And then after that, we have an international guest, Mr. Tim Abbott. It's going to be doing a Q&A for us. Obviously, I think it would be really interesting, to hear some stuff from you. You've got some fantastic stories. We can recap what happened at the European show all them years ago.
It means a lot to us.
That will not be a topic that we'll
we're so pleased that you're coming and supporting the sale, and
it means a lot to us. It really does. It means a lot to us. You coming over, it obviously it adds a lot of credibility to what we are doing as well. If someone like yourself is prepared to come over and talk at the sale, and then hopefully read a few pedigrees as well. So it should. I think it'll be a huge industry event for the UK. We're expecting a lot of people. So
we can't wait. We're organizing. Sharon and I are organizing our schedule, and I've read pedigrees a lot of fun places around the world, and never have in England, and so this will be a first for me. So I'm sure I'll use some terms that will shock your people, but we'll try to work within the boundaries.
So I think as well, like in terms of international guests or international interest in lots, obviously we're really keen to get in international buyers in the sale. So the sale will be online via something called Marti, which is an app, and also pedigrees and all that sort of stuff available online. So it'll be very much accessible to international purchasers as well.
If our listeners want to get on and learn more about the sale pre-sale, where would a website or a Facebook, or what would you suggest, guys?
I would recommend visiting the Firstlook Genetics Facebook page. So that's our own Facebook page. We're putting all sale updates on there. There'll be links to the catalogue, links to pictures and videos of sale lots. So we've been posting a good bit of stuff already, but I would expect that obviously to pick up a lot as we get closer to the sale. If you've got any questions or anything, just ping us on there as well.
Also, the good thing it's not just UK and sort of Irish buyers that can be back to buy. It'll be tough to buy maybe live lots, but the 5 embryo packages we got from you are staying with you until the buyer has bought them, till the purchaser has bought them, so they can go anywhere in the world. If I'm right, maybe no. Yeah, no,
that's accurate. I mean, anywhere in the world that IVF eggs can go to. So Australia. Australia, any of the European countries. So they're going to remain in the U.S. Because you thought that would maybe bring us a global peace, and hopefully it will.
Yeah. So absolutely. So so it's like you say, it is a truly global sale if we are putting them in, and you put some fantastic lots in for us. So it's anyone can buy them. The sale starts at probably between 1 and 1:30 our time, UK time. Everyone is, like Steph said, join on the Marti app on the App Store, and it's very easy to use.
It's extremely easy to bid, isn't it, James?
It is. It's too easy.
There's a lot of bidding on there.
As we get closer, if people listening to this podcast have questions, reach out to me at our Border View site, Showbox Sires site, and I'll connect you with James and Steph, so you can get more information. But we really invite you to get online and listen and participate in this truly global event on June 15th. I think you'd enjoy getting on and listening to the sale. The one thing we haven't hit on, I know Tom Lomas is very involved with this sale. Do you want to talk a little? I wish Tom could be with us today, but tell a little bit about his involvement, and he's well known as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So Tom Lomas is a very close friend of ours, has been for a long time. He's a embryologist. I think he'd want me to say he works alongside, or he works for Mark Knutsford at Celtech, which is quite a big embryo business over here that go around flushing cows and putting embryos in. So he works there. I think he's worked there for maybe 15 years. And he is a major part of what maybe not do on a day-to-day basis farm-wise, but definitely he will be quite a big, he's a pedigree encyclopedia. He will ring me up sometimes and he'll say, I've just seen some embryos somewhere. Do you want to buy them with me? Or he'll ring up and say, what do you think about buying this cow? I've seen a cow on a farm. What do you think? He's perfectly placed for that. And he is massively passionate about the industry. And he's in Scotland at the minute, flushing cows with no laptop or anything, which is why he isn't here today, because otherwise he would be. He's a massive reason why we're doing this. So to be honest, he came to me and said, we all need an outlet for some cows. You've got a really nice herd of cows now. You're building some nice pedigrees. I've also got some nice pedigrees. Why don't we do something? And I said, I totally agree. What a great idea. So between me, Tom and Steph, we put the sale together, really. Tom, like I say, Tom's a big part of what we're doing here. So he needs quite a bit of credit for what we're doing. And you've had many meetings with him. He's quite an intelligent sort of lad who likes his pedigrees, doesn't he?
Yeah, he does. He's great fun and great passion and great knowledge of the business. And certainly working with a guy like Mark Knutsford, who is a global icon.
Don't say that too loud. He might listen to this.
Yeah, I'm hoping he. Well, I'm trying to be nice, because if I go visit his farm, I'd like him to have some something special for me. So, but no, I mean those are the kind of people. Those are the kind of people that you two are working with, and I applaud you for that. I don't think any interview with young people from England would be complete if I didn't ask about a royal family update. And this wasn't on the agenda.
Honestly, oh my gosh, we are the worst people to ask about the royal family.
It's not that we don't like the royal family. We just probably don't know. We probably know as much as you do, to be totally honest.
My mum would be so disappointed in me saying that. She loves the royal family.
But that's just the answer I wanted. So that's perfect.
Are you not going to visit them when you come over, Tim? No, are you going
to? Yeah, with all the health issues they've got going on, and some of the paparazzi stuff, they don't need any more attention. So we really haven't made So to wrap this up, it's been delightful, guys. Young people like yourselves add a lot of passion and a lot of excitement to our business, and we thank you. I'm sure our listeners are going to love this.
What drives me, speaking on behalf of both of us, I think what drives us is when you dairy farm and you milk your cows every single day. We milk them 3 times a day. We see every single cow in a herd. We know every single cow, and I think for us, our passion lies in those cows being really great cows. We want to milk great udders. We want to milk cows that walk on great feet and legs. And I suppose ultimately that's what we breed for. That's what we milk cows for. And when we're thinking about our sale as well, they're the type of animals that we want to sell. So ultimately, we just feel like great genetics, really, I suppose, makes us happier in our jobs as dairy farmers. And I suppose that's kind of the mentality that we have when we think about our cows as well, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I totally agree. Very recently, so if we want to wrap this up, Holstein UK, which is our breed society, did an article on us. I think it was maybe young people or something like that. They did an article on us. We got thinking then, because we had to think about a lot of where we come from and what we're doing. And I massively think, and this is going to be a bit, I think that surrounding yourself with greatness is, you've got to surround yourself with good people if you want to get to where you want to go in life. You can't do it on your own. Not just in breeding cows. Like on a day-to-day farm, the people who put my silage in the clamp are the best people that I could have to put it in. The people that I work with on a day-to-day visit, like all the people that work for us, Steph's mum and dad, they're all great people. You've got to surround, like our core group of friends are really good. Like, you've got to surround yourself with great people if you want to go somewhere. And it's a massive thing for me. Like, it's a massive philosophy. You've got to surround yourself with great people, because if you don't, you won't go anywhere.
Frankly, as Mike and I enter into this business together at Showbox Sires, greatness is developed with who you surround yourself with, and the sum of all the pieces we can put together certainly add up to great success. I thank you both from the bottom of my heart, from a Showbox Sire standpoint, Mike and I, you're exactly the breeders we want to work with around the globe. We're trying to send a message around the globe about how small this business truly is. Whether you're in New Zealand or Australia or Switzerland or the UK, we want to continue to expose these breeders to our listeners and try to give them information. And you two have passed along some great thoughts to our listeners. I would invite people to join these young people and their partners on June 15th for their sale. And again, on behalf of Showbox Sires and Dairy Business, I would really like to thank James and Steph Doherty for their time and the knowledge they've shared. And we look forward to great things from you guys in the future. Next podcast on this series next month, and we appreciate you listening.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. We massively appreciate it.